Hey everyone, I'm Claire. I've been reflecting a lot lately, especially as I navigate a difficult divorce, and I wanted to share a part of my life that I think might resonate with some of you, those who felt the sting of unwarranted criticism from in-laws. Let me take you back to the beginning. I met Zayn, my soon-to-be ex-husband, when I was a 19-year-old college student. He was 25 and had a stable job. Despite the age gap, something just clicked between us. I've never been one to care about age or appearance, so for me, Zayn's age was never a concern. But for him, it was a constant source of insecurity. He'd often ask, "Why are you with me, Claire? I just don't get it. I'm so much older than you. You could be with someone your own age, someone who's better suited for you." I'd always reassure him, yes, I could. But I don't want to. I fell in love with you, and age doesn't change that. Still, Zayn couldn't shake his doubts. There has to be another reason. It's just not natural for someone like you to love someone like me. Please, just tell me the truth. I'd answer him as honestly as I could, I'm telling you the truth. I don't want anyone else. I love you, and that's all that matters. But Zayn's insecurities ran deep, and despite my words, he couldn't fully believe me. I soon realized his issues with self-esteem had much deeper roots. I went out of my way to show Zayn how serious I was about him. Even though I wasn't financially flush, I made sure to buy him thoughtful gifts, and I always paid my own way. I had a modest job, but I wasn't struggling. Zayn seemed to appreciate these gestures, but the doubts about my intentions never fully went away. It wasn't until a couple of years into our relationship that I began to understand where his insecurities really stemmed from. Meeting his parents, Michael and Molly, opened my eyes to the dynamics at play. Michael had hit the jackpot, he'd won the lottery and turned his life around. They bought an extravagant house, secured their future, and carried themselves with an air of superiority. When I first met them, Michael proudly boasted, "Not everyone can make it big like I did. I worked hard, and now look at me. Do you realize how rare it is to win the lottery? Most people never get that lucky, but I did, on the first try." They seemed to take pride in their financial success and made it clear that Zayn, despite his college degree, would never measure up. Molly even insinuated that Zayn's past girlfriends were just after his money, leaving him once the financial situation improved. The underlying message was clear: Zayn wasn't capable of making smart decisions, and everyone around him was just waiting for a chance to cash in. I was furious. Their comments weren't just hurtful, they were insulting, and over time, I saw how deeply they had affected Zayn. It was almost as if he had absorbed their cynicism about women, to the point where he began to believe I might have the same motives. The idea that I could be another gold digger was humiliating, and it became part of the narrative in his mind. I couldn't stay silent anymore. I decided to stand up for both of us. "I'm sorry," I said firmly, "but I have to disagree with you. Zayn has worked incredibly hard in his career. He'll be even more successful in time, and I know he'll do it on his own merit." Michael shrugged dismissively. "Well, that may be true, but the fact remains that women only want him for his money. Our wealth is ours, but Zayn co-owns the house. One day, it'll be his. And every time they see our $200,000 house, I swear, all these girls see our dollar signs. I can't speak for Zayn's past relationships, but I'm definitely not with him for the money," I replied, trying to stay calm. "I love him, and that's why we're together. I have no interest in your house." Michael gave a small, patronizing smile. "Don't worry, Claire. I understand. It's hard to believe that people can succeed and live in places like this. I'm sure you're used to your little rented apartment. But spend enough time in a house like ours, and you'll start wanting one too. It's only natural." Their words were pushing me to the edge, but what hurt most was that Zayn stayed silent. He just let his parents talk about me as if I wasn't even there. He didn't stand up for me. His indifference shocked me. As we drove home, I had to confront him. "Zayn, your parents are being cruel. Why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you defend us?" He sighed, clearly conflicted. What was I supposed to say, Claire? I can't say they're completely wrong. I've had relationships before where the women were just looking to benefit from my family's wealth. They had big plans about the house and how it would eventually be theirs. I don't care about their plans. Just because others may have used you doesn't mean I'm doing the same. Why did you stay quiet when they insulted me too? Zayn hesitated, then spoke softly. You know how my family is now. They're well off, and maybe there's some truth in what they said. I'm not saying you have bad intentions, but I understand why they think that way. Why? I guess it does look suspicious. I don't have parents, and I rely solely on my inheritance. What you're suggesting is ridiculous. Zayn, I've never asked you to spend a dime on me. Just because I don't come from money doesn't give you the right to assume I'm with you for yours. But Zayn wouldn't hear it. He brushed my concerns aside with hollow reassurances of love, acting as if my worries were irrelevant. Maybe someone else would have found comfort in those words, but not me. Not when I knew he might secretly believe I had ulterior motives. I tried to reach him over and over again. I brought up therapy, hoping it could help, but Zayn was adamant there was nothing wrong. Eventually, I gave up trying. Over time, I distanced myself from his family. After graduating college, we got engaged. My job paid decently, and I began saving to help with wedding expenses. We split the costs evenly. I was 22 when we married. But the 3 years that followed were anything but easy. Zayn kept visiting his parents, returning in foul moods. I knew Michael and Molly were whispering in his ear, still convinced I was a gold digger. I begged him to limit contact, but he wouldn't. Their poison seeped into our marriage, fueling his growing doubts. They'd convinced him no one could truly love him, especially not me. Despite everything I gave of my care, my time, my love, Zayn remained suspicious, constantly proving myself wore me down. And then, it all came crashing down on his birthday. He preferred quiet celebrations, so we stayed in. I surprised him with an expensive watch he'd wanted for months. His face lit up, but then he suggested we go show his parents. I hesitated. He insisted. At their house, Zayn beamed as he held out the gift. Look, Mom, Dad, Claire got me this. Isn't it beautiful? Molly's smile was thin. Oh, she did? Maybe she does care about you after all. We were starting to wonder. Don't get ahead of yourself, Molly, Michael added. She's a gold digger. Let's not pretend otherwise. She married you because we own a $200,000 house. Excuse me? I snapped. You think I married your son for your house? Molly folded her arms. You were renting an apartment after 4 years of work. Zayn's older. Why else would you marry him? Because I love him, I said. Your theories are nonsense. Zayn knows that. Don't you, Zayn? But he said nothing. He looked away. Zayn, I pressed. Say something. You know this isn't true. Tell them. He shifted uncomfortably. I don't know what you want me to say. Claire, maybe they're not completely wrong. Maybe the house was part of it. What? My voice cracked. You think I married you for your assets? She's never even talked about buying a house. Molly jumped in. It's suspicious. Michael nodded. You've got no shot at affording a place like ours. But marry Zayn? And bam, instant comfort. It adds up. I looked at Zayn, desperately hoping he'd fight for me. Instead, he looked back with doubt in his eyes. I mean, yeah, maybe you love me, he said, but maybe there's more to it. And just like that, everything shattered. It wasn't his parents' words that broke me, it was his silence, his suspicion. In that moment, I realized, it didn't matter how much I loved him, he didn't trust me. I made up my mind. I wanted a divorce. I didn't say anything then. I waited. When we got back home, I contacted a lawyer and started the process. They said the papers would be ready within a week. I moved into the guest room. Zayn thought I was just mad. He had no idea what was coming. When the papers arrived at my parents' house, I packed my bags and left. Zayn called in a panic, and I told him to meet me at an address with his parents. Confused, but compliant, he agreed. When they arrived, I was waiting on the front porch. Their eyes widened as they took in the house. You're probably wondering, I said, why I brought you here. It's a stunning house, don't you think? I remarked, glancing at Zayn. Nothing else compares. It's worth about $2 million in today's market. A steep price, but completely worth it. The furniture alone is worth millions. Zayn's brow furrowed in confusion. What is this place, Claire? I don't get how you have access to a house like this. Why don't you come inside, and I'll explain? I suggested, stepping toward the door. It's hard to explain everything from the porch. What do you mean by your porch? His mother asked, her eyes narrowing suspiciously. I shrugged off their surprise and walked in. They followed me, clearly in awe as they took in the lavish surroundings. Every detail in the house screamed luxury and sophistication. Once we sat down, I took a moment to gather my thoughts before speaking. I've made my decision, I said, my voice calm and steady, and that's why I asked you to come here. I've filed for divorce. Here are the papers. If you're willing to agree, we can proceed with an uncontested divorce. What? Zayn's voice wavered with disbelief. I don't understand. Why now? Because you and your parents think I married you for your money. You've accused me of being a gold digger, no matter how many times I assured you otherwise. So I'm doing you a favor. I'll step away and let you go. That's clearly what you want. You're divorcing me because my parents were right? Zayn's tone was a mixture of frustration and disbelief. We didn't say anything that wasn't true. Why are you making this such a big deal? I think it's for the best. Molly chimed in coldly. If she's so determined. Zayn, just sign the papers. At least you'll be free to find someone who truly loves you. Zayn shot a look at her before narrowing his eyes at me. So why did you bring us here, Claire? Are you trying to get me to buy this house for you as part of the divorce settlement? I couldn't help but laugh lightly. Buy this house? Zayn, why would I need you to do that? This house is already mine. The shock on their faces was immediate, like I'd just dropped a bombshell. Their mouths hung open, as though they couldn't process the idea. How can you afford a place like this? Michael asked, his voice sharp with disbelief. You rent, and your job doesn't pay nearly enough for this. Stop making things up. I'm not making things up, I responded calmly. Remember when I told you my parents left me an inheritance? This is the house I was talking about. It's in a trust right now, but I'll inherit it fully when I turn 30. I don't need a high-paying job, because I have a trust fund waiting for me. That's impossible, Molly snapped, incredulous. Your parents have been gone for years. They'd have given you this sooner. They were smart, I replied coolly. They knew the kind of people I might attract, so they made sure I never disclosed the house or the trust to anyone. Call it foresight. Everything was placed in a trust to protect me, until I turned 30. By then, they hoped I'd be with someone who loved me for who I am, not for my money. A long silence followed before the backpedaling began. Oh, Claire, you should have told us, Molly said, suddenly all sweetness. We had no idea. This house is huge, we could all live here comfortably. Yeah, Michael added, his tone shifting. We thought you were after our house. That's all. We could have avoided all this. Molly smiled sickeningly. I always knew you were perfect for Zayn. You're such a great woman. Look at all this wealth. Zayn really hit the jackpot. I couldn't hold back a bitter laugh. Their about-face was laughable, and they'd completely forgotten the reason we were even here. I pulled the divorce papers back out and signed them, the sound of the pen scratching across the paper filling the silence. As I was saying, I said coolly, here's my signature. If you want this to go smoothly, you can sign too. Otherwise, we'll be seeing each other in court. But either way, I'm done. Claire, please, listen, Zayn pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. You've already proven you're not a gold digger. There's no need for a divorce. We're apologizing now. Doesn't that count for something? Yeah, Claire, Molly echoed. We're really sorry. We didn't mean to doubt you. I turned to Zayn, my eyes as cold as ice. You let your family humiliate me for 2 years. Zayn, you didn't just stay silent, you sided with them. You let them accuse me of marrying you for your house. I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me. I'm done. I stood up, my voice unwavering. We can part ways easily or go to court. It's your choice. They pleaded with me, begging me to see reason, but never once acknowledging the damage they'd done. Not a single apology came from them that felt real. When I'd had enough, I stood and said firmly, leave, now, or I'll call the police. The anger in my voice left them stunned. And Without another word, they walked out. In the weeks that followed, Zayn and his parents tried everything: calls, messages, even bribes. They believed money could buy me back. It only made me more furious. They still couldn't see that I wasn't motivated by greed. The kicker? Zayn co-owned the house with his parents, and I was legally entitled to half of his share. That realization sent them into panic mode. Despite everything, I stood firm. I moved my things into my parents' house, asserting my right to live in the trust property long before I officially inherited it. Zayn and his family kept trying to reach me, so I changed my number. Zayn even showed up at my workplace. Security escorted him out. To this day, he hasn't signed the divorce papers, still hoping I'll change my mind. It's been almost a year now. Soon, the legal process will determine whether he signs or not. I'm doing fine on my own, happy, independent, and financially secure. I've been on a few dates, but I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm content. According to Zayn's cousin, they're panicking about having to pay me my share of the house. Legal fees are piling up, and their savings are drained. Zayn is even pushing for a sale and resents his parents for the mess they've created. But me? I'm done. I just want to be free from him, and from his toxic family.